This is pretty incredible. I'm standing in front of Devil's Tower here in Wyoming. I'm excited to go over and check it out. I'm gonna do the Tower Trail, and then I gotta hit the road. I'm going to Mustang Mountain Vineyard, and I can't wait to see which wine will pair best with the elk that I'm hoping to have while I'm here. So come with me and let's see what Wyoming is pouring for us today. They say you can see it from miles away, a jagged silhouette breaking the endless curve of the Wyoming horizon. But seeing it from a distance doesn't prepare you for the moment you're standing at its base. This is Devil's Tower. Rising 867 feet above the Belle Fourche River, this massive igneous monolith is a visual demonstration of the raw, violent power of the earth. Formed millions of years ago when molten magma forced its way through sedimentary layers, it was sculpted by eons of erosion into the vertical marble we see today. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt recognized its stature, declaring this the very first national monument in the United States. To understand this place, you have to look beyond the geology. Long before it was a national monument, it was, and still is, Bear Lodge. To over 20 Northern Plains tribes, this is sacred ground. It's a place of prayer, of ceremony, and of ancient stories that explain those massive vertical grooves as the claw marks of a giant bear. When you walk the 1.3-mile Tower Trail, there's a distinct shift in the air. You'll see colorful prayer ribbons tied to the trees, sacred offerings that remind us we are guests in a spiritual cathedral. It's why the National Park Service encourages a voluntary climbing closure every June. A moment for the world to pause and respect the living culture of the indigenous people who have revered this rock for millennia. For the adventurous, the tower is a siren song. It's world-renowned for crack climbing, where athletes wedge their hands and feet into parallel fissures to scale the vertical walls. If you aren't a climber, the drama is just as high from the ground. As you hike around the base, keep your eyes peeled. You might spot a falcon nesting in the heights, or as you head back toward the park entrance, the famous residents of the prairie dog town standing guard over their plains. Whether you come for the world-class climbing, the rich history, or the sheer geological wonder, Devil's Tower leaves an imprint on you. It's a reminder that we are small, that nature is ancient, and that Wyoming still holds secrets that can take your breath away. But for our journey through the Cowboy State, it's just getting started. We're heading west, trading these vertical stone columns for the rolling rows of a high desert vineyard. It's time to see how a diamond in the rough became one of Wyoming's biggest surprises. We're going to Mustang Mountain Winery. I am down here at the Vineyard Park here at Mustang Mountain Vineyards, and this is just a great little setup down here just over the hill from the winery. Kind of gives you a nice private spot to enjoy a glass of wine. They do a murder mystery here pretty regularly, and I guess this is one of the stops where you have to congregate and start to figure out who did the murder. Anyway, I'm here trying the Frontenac Rosé. Now this is entirely unique. I had to give it a go for sure. The Frontenac, I've always seen it as a red, not as a rosé. Now you'll see this is actually pretty dark, comes off almost red. I'm told because we're at a high elevation, this Frontenac is coming off with a little thicker skin to protect itself from the UV rays up here. And so they're having a hard time actually
making it more of a rosé wine, so it still comes off a little red here. I'm excited to give this a go. Let's see what it's like on the nose. Now this comes off a little bit of kind of a hint of sweetness here, so let's see whether that's off dry or not. And then also I'm getting red fruit, a lot of it, and this is strong strawberry here, a little bit of like a very ripe raspberry, and you might throw in a little bit of ripe rhubarb there. So let's give it a go on the palate. I would put that as probably, it's off dry to semi-sweet, so there is some sweetness there. And definitely strawberry holds up, and that rhubarb holds up. This is a high acid, so you're getting a little bit pleased with that strawberry flavor, I think a little bit, which gives you that rhubarb flavor. Very unique. If you get by, you'll probably never see one of these types of wines, and the winemaker's done a pretty good job making this wine.
Wyoming is known for many things: wide open plains, jagged peaks, and unforgiving winters. But in the small town of Lovell, tucked against the shadow of the Bighorns, something unexpected has taken root. I'm talking about Mustang Mountain Winery. In 2010, Nancy and Larry Blair left the bustle of Seattle behind to return to their Wyoming roots. What they found here wasn't a finished masterpiece, but a diamond in the rough. While others saw an overgrown property, Nancy saw potential. For years, they poured their sweat into this soil, reviving the land and proving that the spirit of the West can grow more than just cattle and hay. It can grow wine grapes. This winery is a family's defiance against the elements. In 2016, the vision expanded when their daughter, Nicole Laffin, moved her family to Lovell to join the effort. After a year of working the earth alongside her parents, the dream shifted from growing grapes to crafting wine. With Nicole earning her certification in viticulture from Texas Tech and the muscle of the whole family, they built this winery from the ground up. Today, that diamond in the rough has been polished into a fully functioning vineyard with over 800 vines and 4 distinct varieties of grapes, all thriving in the unique Wyoming terroir. When you visit, you aren't just grabbing a drink, you're invited to wander through the rows, to see the fruit of over a decade of labor, and to look out at the Bighorn Mountains with a glass in hand. There is a serious craft at work here, a commitment to quality that honors both the science of winemaking and the rugged beauty of the land. It's an exciting example of what can happen when passion meets persistence. From the high desert soil to the bottle in your hand, Mustang Mountain is a reminder that the best things in life take time, grit, and a little bit of Wyoming magic. Next up, we're heading to Gillette to see if the food is as bold and resilient as the wine.
Standing out here in the vineyards in Lovell at Mustang Mountain, and I've got in my hand the Wild Game, and I'm pretty excited about this because I think this wine might have a chance of going well with the elk. This is a red blend. I think it's mostly Frontenac and Marquette, which is Minnesota grapes that are grown throughout these regions. They can withstand the freeze of the winter and come back again the next spring. So let's give this Wild Game a go on the nose. It's just a little bit, there is smokiness there. There's a little bit of vanilla. Comes off just a smidge of like a cooked strawberry there, like a strawberry jam almost. And then you get a little bit of like almost a raisin there, almost like a prune or a raisin. Let's give it a go on the palate. And that vanilla holds up. There's that smokiness for sure. And that little bit of raisiness comes through. It's almost like a dried strawberry or maybe a stewed strawberry. But overall, this is a decent wine, and because of the tartness, I think it may just work with the elk later. So anyway, if you get by, give the Wild Game a go. Just finished the wine tasting here at Mustang Mountain Vineyards in Lovell, Wyoming. This is off of the beaten path a little bit, but it's worth the travels. Had a lot of fun here today. Met Nicole, the winemaker. She's got an extensive education on how to grow and make wine. It really shows in the wines, I gotta say, and boy, the work you gotta put in here in this area, in this climate, to make those wines, it's impressive. Anyway, I've got one more thing I've got to do before I finish this trip in Wyoming, and that's figure out which one of these wines from Mustang Mountain pairs best with elk. So let's head on over and get some elk and figure out which wine pairs best.
In order to fully experience Wyoming, you have to understand the elk. To the people of the Cowboy State, the elk is more than wildlife. It's a cornerstone of heritage, a symbol of the rugged mountain ecosystem, and a vital part of the North American model of conservation. In Wyoming, elk aren't simply admired, they are respected as a sustainable, high-quality food source that has sustained generations. That's what brings us to Wyoming's Rib and Chop House here in Gillette. While they are famous for their Rocky Mountain hospitality, it's their commitment to premium game that stands out. Today I'm trying the elk, a meat that's famously lean, packed with protein, and surprisingly tender. Unlike beef, elk is incredibly clean with a subtle, almost sweet earthiness. Because it has significantly less fat, the secret is in the sear. It has to be cooked with precision, usually medium rare, to lock in those juices. One bite and you realize this is the flavor of the high plains. It's rich, savory, and carries none of the gamey intensity people often fear. From the sacred heights of Devil's Tower to the hidden vineyards of Lovell, and finally this authentic taste of the West in Gillette, Wyoming has a way of staying with you. It's a state where history is etched into the rocks and the future is poured into every glass and served on every plate. Thanks for coming along on this Wyoming journey.
So I'm at the Rib and Chop House in Gillette, Wyoming, and I got really lucky. They have the Hunter's Table menu going on, and so I was able to get elk loin here today. And this elk is beautiful. It's really lean and not very gamey, actually. That's what I've always liked about elk. It's not as gamey as some of the other meats you'll find out there. And you know what wine this would pair with at Mustang Mountain. This would pair with the Wild Game Red, of course. There's a little bit of smokiness and vanilla in that, and then the black fruit would pair perfectly with the huckleberry sauce that's on this. So anyway, I was glad to find the elk loin and figure out which wine that would pair with. I'm drinking a Cabernet right now, but wish I had that Wild Game. Anyway, I'm gonna say so long for now from this episode of Wyoming, and I hope I get to see you somewhere on the wine trail.
It's the Cowboy Somm. It's the Cowboy Somm.